Hey everyone, it's Paul here. Today I'm going to tell you not one, not two, but 10 amazing facts about the circle of fifths and how we can use it to help us with not just music theory, but practical music as well. Before we begin, let's start with how we build the circle of fifths. It uses all of the 12 notes, and rather than being in chromatic order, it places them in fifths. C, upper fifth to G, another fifth to D, and again to A, and all the way round, bringing us once again back to C. So now that's out of the way, let's get on with the facts. If we start by saying that each of these notes represents each major key, we can figure out how many flats or sharps are in each. If we start at C major, which has no sharps in it, we can then work around the circle clockwise, adding a sharp for each key. G major has 1 sharp, D major has 2, A has 3, and so on around to C sharp major with 7 sharps. Not much fun. If we then go anti-clockwise, we'll then be able to figure out the key signatures with flats. C major again has no flats, F major has 1 flat, B flat major has 2, and round to everybody's favourite key, C flat major with 7 flats. We can do the same with the minor keys. If we spin the notes round so that A is at the top, this will match what we already have with, as A major has no flats or sharps, E minor has 1 sharp, B minor has 2 sharps, and likewise with the flats. D minor has 1 flat, G minor has 2 flats, and so on and so on. It's great and all, but what sharps and flats are they? Well, that brings me on to fact number 2. In this circle of fifths, you can see that there are a number of notes which are natural notes, or the white keys on the piano. We just need to know these notes and they will tell us which sharps or flats we have. If we write the notes forwards and backwards, we get the order F, C, G, D, A, E, B, and B, E, A, D, G, C, F. These are the orders of the sharps and flats. We need to remember these though, and this is where we get another one of those handy acronyms. This one has got to be my favourite one of all, and I still use it today, not just because I can't remember the key signatures, but because it's really cool. Really cool. The order of the sharps can be remembered by using Father Christmas gave Dad an electric blanket. And the order of the flats, blanket explodes and Dad gets chilly feet. Really cool. Okay, so we have got our key signatures and notes, but if we wanted to look further into our keys, the circle of fifths is able to tell us exactly what notes go into each major scale. We start with the root note of the scale we want to find. Let's go with C major to make this easy to see. You then go anti-clockwise 1 note, in this case F, and then count clockwise 7 notes. If you then put these notes in order starting with C, you will have the notes of the C major scale. Let's check it out with a different scale. Let's try A flat major. We take the A flat, go anti-clockwise 1 note to D flat, then count 7 notes round. Put these in order and we have our A flat major scale. Easy as that. Really cool. We can also pick out any number of scales and modes using the same method. All we have to do is take a note from one end and put it at the other end instead. By starting on C and counting 7 steps clockwise without the initial step anti-clockwise, we get the C Lydian mode. Switching the B to B flat by going anti-clockwise 2 steps and then clockwise 7, we get the Mixolydian mode. Go back 3 steps and you have the notes of the Dorian mode. 4 steps the Aeolian mode, or natural minor scale, and we can continue in the same fashion. A 4th step takes us to the Phrygian mode, and a 5th to the Locrian mode. A bit like finding the major scale, we can use the circle of fifths to find any major pentatonic scale. It's built using 5 steps of the circle of fifths and putting them into scale order. To find the minor pentatonic scale, you just need to move the 5th note to the 1st position. Right, so we've got a small selection of scales. We want to be able to find some chords, and guess what? We can use the circle of fifths to find some. Let's see how to make a chord. A chord has a root note, the 3rd and a 5th. Using the circle of fifths, it's really easy to find a 5th. Take any pair of notes around the circle and that will give you a root and a 5th. So we just need to find the 3rd. Major chords, you just need to go 3 spaces clockwise. So with C major, you would have the root, of C, the 5th of G, and then go 3 spaces round to get you to E. For a minor third, you still have your root and your 5th, but this time to get the third you have to go anti-clockwise. Easy as that. Really cool. If we want to be able to find the dominant 7th, we can use the circle of 5ths to do this as well. We already know that we stack thirds on top of each other to build our chords, and this is the same with the dominant 7th chord. To do this on a circle of 5ths, we already know how to get the major chord. Going round to the 5th, taking 3 steps clockwise to get the 3rd. To get the 7th of the chord, all we need to do is to go directly opposite that 3rd. In this case, to the B flat, and we have our dominant 7th chord. We already know that the different major and minor keys share key signatures. We can stack these together in the circle of 5ths so that the major and minor keys line up. Each pair has a special relationship which we call the relative major and minor keys. The relative keys share all the same notes, just in a different order, starting on the relevant root note. If you're writing a piece of music, you can use the relative major or minor to change the key, knowing the change will work well with the notes you've used so far, as the scales share all the same notes. We can see that C major has the relative A minor, and F minor has the relative major of A flat. Thinking of key changes, we can also look to adjacent notes for which keys will work as well. The notes of one key and the next match so closely, moving one step either way around the circle moves us to the dominant key or the subdominant key. Of course, that shouldn't stop you if you want to have a key change that jumps from one side of the circle, then that's entirely up to you, and yeah, there's no reason why it won't work, and it's certainly been done before, and will be again. The diatonic chords are the chords built up on a scale. All we need to do is stack 2/3 on top of each note of the scale to make a chord. By doing this in any major key, we get chords 1, 4 and 5 as major chords, and 2, 3 and 6 as minor chords, with chord 7 being a diminished chord. Typically, in most pieces of music, it will be those 6 major and minor chords that are used most of the time, and we can use the circle of 5ths to find those chords really easily. We will, as always, have our root chord. Let's go with B flat this time. B flat will be our root note, and chord 1, which we already know is a major chord. Clockwise, we know as well that we have the 5th from B flat, which is also the 5th in the diatonic chords. Anti-clockwise from B flat, we have the E flat, which is the 4th chord. We already know that G minor is the relative minor chord to B flat, and this is chord number 6 in the diatonic series. Going each side of the relative minor gives us the 2nd and 3rd chords of the series as well. We can see that the 6 main diatonic chords to any key will fit within the little group of 6 chords in the circle of 5ths. This is again really useful, as it not only gives you a set of chords that no matter what will work together if you're writing a piece of music, but it also helps with transcribing music, as you can use this to help work out what is perhaps logically going to come next. Many chord progressions can be mapped out on a circle of 5ths, and we can see some of these patterns use most of the same chords in different ways to produce a variety of different pieces of music. Pachelbel's canon in D uses 5 of these diatonic chords in the piece, loathed by cellists all over the world for 300 years since it was written in 1680. The chord progression has proved a hit, however, being mimicked in many different ways, noticeably in the 1979 Pet Shop Boys song Go West. Although the progression is in a different key, the use of the chord is almost identical, the only change being the use of chord 2 instead of 4 in the penultimate chord. Another popular chord progression is the 12-bar blues. In its simplest form, it only uses 3 of the diatonic chords, sometimes with a bit of variety using 7ths or some alternative chords, but this simple form has been used hundreds of times in popular songs over the last 70 years. One of the popular chord progressions at the moment in pop music is the 1-5-6-4 progression. This chord progression has been used in hundreds of songs and continues to be used today. You can watch videos by Axis of Awesome for examples of how this progression works. We can see from the circle of 5ths that we have a small area of notes which have 2 different names. On a piano and many other instruments, these notes are the same in theory, but they actually aren't. As we're going round the circle of 5ths, when we get to the B, the next note round must be an F sharp rather than a G flat, because F is 5 notes higher than B. whereas a G is 6 notes higher. So going clockwise starting from C, we start nice and easily C, G, D, A, E and B. We come to the accidentals being added in, so a fifth higher than B is an F, so we must be going with sharps. So we can continue with the sharps along this path, with F sharp, C sharp, G sharp, D sharp and A sharp. Next in the circle we come to an F, but this needs to be an E of some sort as we've ended with an A, so an F becomes E sharp. Where we would normally be back at the start, a fifth higher than E is not C, and so we're left with needing a B sharp as our next note, and so we're unable to close the circle. A C and a B sharp are enharmonically the same note, however in the context of fifths, theoretically they are different notes. The same can be done in the other direction, going from C to F, B flat, E flat, A flat, D flat and G flat. B would become C flat and we'd continue with F flat, B double flat, E double flat, A double flat, which then brings us back round to C, or as it would now be a D double flat as our enharmonic of C. Both of these arms of the circle can now be expanded further and further to the point of absurdity, and theoretically we could have a key called C dozen flat major, where though the key signature alone takes up the entire page of music, it would essentially be C major, but you'd have to play it an octave lower than it's written. Not ever such a useful composition at all, but as a theoretical exercise, quite fun. So this has been my 10 facts about the circle of fifths, and I hope you've enjoyed it and found it interesting. If you have, please press like and hit the subscribe button and leave your comments in the section below. If you didn't like it, hit subscribe anyway, you might like the next one. Thanks very much for watching, I'll see you on the next Music Bites video, and as always, fine, fine, fine. Really cool. If you have enjoyed this video, why not subscribe so you never miss the latest Music Bites videos as they are uploaded each week. While you're waiting for the next one, have a look at some of my other videos, and you can follow me on social media as well.